Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Wisconsin Shoe Guy, and today we're going to talk about split-toe derbies. Now, what's really interesting about the split-toe derby is it's not a very popular style. It's really kind of one of those love it or hate it kind of styles. And if you look at the low, medium, and high-end market, almost all of it seems to be copying this shoe. And it's these two are both the Edward Green Dover. And as you look at what folks are trying to accomplish, they're trying to make the shoes kind of fit this mold. Now, these are really good traditional Goodyear welted shoes. This one has a half sole, so this is narrower than it is here. It's a 360 welt. The welt join is pretty darn tight. You can see it right there. They've got a little bit of fudging, but not a lot on the welt. Skin stitch, and then this is, your typical, this is two pieces of leather being put together here, and it's got the hand stitching along the edge there, and then this one uses that. Has that nice little tension to create those little bubbles, which I prefer. But again, skin stitching, fudging, stitch density, of course, being extremely fine, but these are machine fine. And again, the welt join being very, very good because, well, it's top of the line in terms of a Goodyear welted shoe. Now, what's interesting, and see the stitch density again, all very, very good. Now, what's interesting is that when you get higher in the market, there are different things that you'll start to see in the shoes. Now, these shoes are really expensive. They'll run about $1,700 depending on the exchange rate. So they are quite heavy, but they're very, very nice. And Edward Green does an exceptional job. Great quality control. Really, what's not to like? But when you get higher in the market, you start to see things that are just a step above. So here, let's take these, for example. This is a Mecariello. Now you can see the skin stitching here is done a little bit better. The stitching here, a little bit cleaner. This is in Peccary. A little bit better fudging. Now this is hand stitched. Okay, so this is part of the Orem line. So this is all hand stitched. Okay, but now you get here, and look at this. Now here, they really do a good job of carving, and this is all done by hand, carving this into a round waist, and then it's attached at the waist differently. Now this has a little bit of a gap. Okay, some of the other brands do not. Okay. You can see the waist itself is not flat, and they've done a really nice job just bringing it all together. Okay, so they've carved this down so that you have a little fiddle back. It's a soft fiddle, I give you. And here you can see it's really carved down to the double sole. Now, that's the sole. I didn't talk about the upper construction. You look at this, it's just as fine. There, here, it's all very, very clean, as it should be. These shoes are, over $2,000. So they're very expensive. Now these are made to measure, so they're made for my feet, but all of the Orem line is over $2,000. Now, when you're right at that area, you can also get into, this is an Acme MTO, and you can see here, the stitching, the material, also very, very clean. Here you've got really, really clean tension lines on the apron, very clean on the skin stitch. Now this is a Norvegese construction, which is braided, which is very beautiful. Really for look versus function, although the bottom is actually sewn into the insole, and then this is sewn into the sole right underneath all that stitching, right? So really kind of exciting. And then here, this is what's sewn to the outsole. You can see the stitching is very close together, much closer together than even on Edward Green. But I've never seen a maker who can get it as close together as Antonio. His team is very, very good at that. And just, again, really very well done. So now that's Acme. Now, as you continue to go up market, what you get is less and less of a gap here along the waist, right? And so this is where the waist, there's a lot of guys who say that they actually do a flap out and they sew it, and then they put the flap over it to cover it. They call it a blind waist, kind of like blind stitching on the sole. It's very, very unusual, and it's very high end, and mostly you can tell by looking at it here, it's very tight. Now the soles themselves are also very tight. This is a Yohei Fukuda. Stitching here is also very clean, as you'd expect. All right. Apron, a little bit of a different shape to the apron. You know, that's kind of a design. He really made it so that it followed the last a little bit more, right? Which I like. This is, of course, also very clean. And then, of course, the outsole here and the stitching is almost impossible to see because it's covered with the fudging so well. Okay, so you know, Fukuda does a really nice job. So again, let's look at the waist here. A very, very small gap that's carved down. Okay, so, and then now let's look here. So again, let's look at the upper. You can see the upper, very, very clean. Now, this is Hiro Yanamagachi. His pattern pushes the heel a little bit forward to create a little bit more balance on the shoe. Again, has a little bit of a higher split, okay? More rounded. Again, the rounding here fits the rounding on the last very well, okay? This balance, this style of how they put it on the last is a very big part of working with a high-end shoemaker. They're artists, and they like to do things a certain way. This is also hand-stitched. Now, the Fukuda is actually machine-stitched. This is hand-stitched as well. Okay. So as you look at price, okay, so again, we said $1,700, and then this is about $1,900, a little bit over $2,000, about $2,500, and this is just over $3,000. They're all very, very expensive shoes, but you get that little bit extra in working with the high-end shoemakers. Now, Hiro actually sent me pictures of the whole construction of these and how he built up the sole. So it's a very traditional method, and it's the same method used by all of these. You know, they've got the waist, how tight it is, and you know, the wear on this just really it's not wearing very much, and that's good, right? You want shoes to last forever. And of course, I have a very large rotation, so I don't wear them as often as I'd like. But you know, and the hatch grain on the leather, you know, this is Annene hatch grain, this is Horween hatch grain, this is peccary that's specially tanned for Macchiariello, and this is this beautiful pebble grain that Yohei Fukuda is able to get, right? Compared to Utah calf and, again, Horween hatch grain from Edward Green. So they're doing nice things, but as you can see, there's stylistic differences between each of the shoes, but really what you see that's different between the Edward Green and the high-end makers are the high-end makers are all hand welted, not to lose that, but the construction is all done by hand instead of by machine. Some of the sole attachment is done by machine here, but not on the others. But the actual insole attachment is done by hand on all of these. And then you have just finer details, okay, in, you know, this type of stitching here in the toe. And, you know, the design, this is a 3 eyelet, so that's again, it's a different design. So that's, it's all a little different. Now, I would say from a quality perspective, I don't know that I can say anything poor about the quality of any of those, right? So there is a significant price difference. Acme is a little bit less expensive because having it manufactured in China costs less than having it manufactured in Japan, and Italy is in between, right? But they are very, very high-end, high-quality shoes, all bespoke quality, and none of them on a pure bespoke last. This is a made-to-measure last, so he took an existing last and he made adjustments for me. And the way he put it is that it's easy to add to a last, it's hard to remove from a last, and he had to remove for mine, and that's part of what costs so much. Now, these are both ready to wear. They don't fit as well as any of the others. And I did spend a lot of time working with all of the other makers on fit. I want to be clear about that. But they all fit relatively well. And Edward Green makes a great shoe. Goodyear welted is going to last a long time. I don't know that I can say with any certainty that hand welt lasted longer. So I would say it all depends on what you want, right? Do you want to invest in the craftsmanship that these guys do, doing everything by hand? Do you want to go with a blend and you just like the design better? That's really what it comes down to in the high end, is you have to look at the design, you have to look at the shoemaker, and you have to decide which one you like better, because all of these are just super, super nice shoes. And the Edward Greens are really, you know, the top of the mill in Goodyear welted, and just do a fantastic job. I would say among English shoemakers, the top two are Graziano and Girling and Edward Green. And, you know, they're all absolutely comparable. You know, in the top of the shoemaking world, I would rank these 4 makers in the top 5. Don't ask me to rank them today. So anyway, thank you again for watching. Just a discussion on high-end shoes. I'm going to be doing my review series on new shoes, and then I'm going to be doing some shoe battles really involved in this style. So I want you to have some background on what to look for and what can be out there. Now, it's important to note, some of these things are easily measurable, easily seeable, and so they can differentiate the shoe. But how you value their importance is really up to you, because none of these are going to make the shoe last longer and have an extreme difference in how much you enjoy the shoe. It's really more for what's important to you and how is the style going to matter in the way you wear them. So thanks for watching. Wisconsin Shoe Guy, and I'm out.